The U.S. Justice Department announced today it will launch a review into police in Memphis. Now, that's in response to the fatal beating of Tyre Nichols after a traffic stop earlier this year. For more, let's bring in the CBC's Sarah Galashan on this. So, Sarah, what's the latest?
Hannah, so the Department of Justice has announced this federal investigation. They're going to be looking into certain policies and practices of the Memphis Police Department. And it actually is a review that was requested by the police chief, who did disband that specialized policing unit, the Scorpion unit, shortly after Nichols died. The five black officers who have been charged with his death, they were part of this special unit. The acronym Scorpion, standing for Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. It was a 50-member unit. It had previously been accused of misconduct. Really, it became the focus, though, after Nichols died. We know that Nichols was tasered, he was chased, he was beaten not far away from his mother's home and died 3 days later in hospital. The review is going to look at the Memphis Department's training, use of force, and use of these specialized policing units. And from the Department of Justice, what has been said today is that they have heard from other police chiefs across the country who are similarly looking into their use of similar policing units in light of what has happened here. And the Department of Justice is promising, Hannah, that there will be recommendations to come following this investigation.
And Sarah, authorities were expected to release several more hours of footage from that traffic stop, but there is a holdup on it, right?
Yeah, so what I'm reading is that there was as much as 20 hours more footage that was to be released coming about as a result of the city's internal investigation. That would be on top of the initial video release of body cam and surveillance footage that we had last month. And what that video did, and we're very careful about what we're going to show of it, but what it did last month was give some real insight into the level of violence that Nichols faced at the hands of police. But what it didn't do was speak to the initial traffic stop and the initial exchange with police that eventually led to that violence. Police have said that he was pulled over because he was driving recklessly, but there's not evidence to support that. But right now, one of the lawyers representing the five officers charged in the death with second-degree murder is opposing the release of that. And so the courts have said can't be released until there is a court order on it. So we're watching for that. But in the meantime, as far as the city's internal investigation and discipline goes, in addition to the five officers who were fired and charged with second-degree murder, there was a sixth that was fired, not charged. Another 7 faced investigation. Of those, 1 was fired, along with 3 members of the fire department who lost their jobs, and a 4th who was suspended. And of course, we know from that video that we saw that Nichols spent a very long time waiting for any medical help to be given to him, and that is where the fire department's role comes in here. Hannah?